Ultimate Destiny. A study in suspense and horror. If you value your sanity, don't read this story. It is too horrible for the eyes of man to behold. Within these pages are sown the seeds of madness. Please close this magazine and turn away before it's too late, for you too may become a victim, as I have. I never intended that this story should be published. I have recorded this incredible narrative in the hope that in so doing, I could rid my mind of the terrible haunting memories that have plagued me night and day since this horrible incident had its beginning. If this story ever appears in print, the reader will know that I am dead, and the final solution of this awful mystery has died with me. Respectfully yours, Dr. Howard Chaney. It began one day several months ago when I received a telephone call from Jonathan Barkley, an old friend who had recently returned from Tibet. But you sound so terribly distraught, Jonathan. What's wrong?
I can't discuss it on the telephone, Howard. But believe me, it is terrible. You must come over at once.
When I arrived at his home, I could tell immediately that he was undergoing a dreadful emotional experience.
What is it, Jonathan? You're trembling like a leaf. Something is happening to me, Howard. A terrible, nameless horror is gripping my very soul.
I don't understand, Jonathan. There seems to be nothing organically wrong with you. However, I'll give you a physical exam. If
I don't want your professional services, Howard. I want to talk to you as a man, not as a doctor.
Then tell me what is wrong, Jonathan.
Otherwise I can't possibly help you. It began the moment I arrived back in New York. A slow, subtle change began to overtake me. It grew progressively worse until now it threatens my very existence. It's something from within, struggling for possession of me. It's starting again, running down my spine, knotting my intestines. My brain is beginning to swing. Help me, Howard.
He suddenly pitched headlong upon the floor and began to writhe and scream in apparent torment.
Great Scott, man, what is it?
I can't stand it. I can't stand it.
An instant later, he lapsed into unconsciousness. I carried him to his divan and began to administer treatment. But frankly, I could find no cause for his strange convulsive spell. A few moments later, he regained consciousness, and I proceeded to interrogate him.
Oh, what happened?
You fainted. Listen to me, Jonathan. Something happened to you while in Tibet. Something that has a bearing on your case. Now tell me what it was.
Yes, you are right, Howard. Something did happen to me out there. But I can't tell you what it was. It's too horrible to even contemplate. I've been trying all these weeks to forget it.
In that case, I cannot help you, Jonathan. In any event, I think you need psychotherapy.
Please, Howard, I'm not mad. You must believe me. I need your help.
A short time later, I returned home and reflected upon Jonathan Barkley's strange behavior. Obviously, his problem is not a physical one, although it could have definite physical repercussions if something is not done to alter it. Several days passed. I became so engrossed in my backlog of work that I spent an entire evening poring over my books, and at dawn, my phone rang. Hello? Instinctively, I knew it was going to be Jonathan Barkley.
I must see you right away, Howard. Some things happened. The first manifestations of physical retrogression.
Don't get excited, Jonathan. I'll be right over. When I arrived at his home, I was shocked by his terrible appearance.
Jonathan, good Lord, what's happened to you? The thing I have feared is coming to pass. I'm going to confide in you now, Howard. I must get your views on this matter. I must know if the curse is really coming true or if I'm losing my reason.
When I was in Tibet, I visited one of the sacred temples, and it was there I met Lahama Khan, the Grand High Lama.
If you are indeed a sacred truth, you are welcome to visit us and study our ways.
I have ever sought after truth, O great Lama.
I spent several days within the ancient edifice, during which I learned many things concerning this strange race that lived in voluntary isolation. The old Lama took a liking to me from the start, and he slowly began to take me into his confidence.
Tell me, Jonathan Barkley, what is the one thing above all else you would like to do?
Perhaps you already know, Lama. I have accomplished much in my lifetime, but there is more I wish to do. I would that my 70 years could be lengthened.
He led me into a subterranean chamber, and a moment later, we were standing before an immense, grotesque idol.
If you kneel before the image of our deity Karana and present your petition, you shall be granted a boon that man has sought since time began. Unending life.
Can it be possible such a wonderful thing could actually happen to me?
I did as he bade me, and as I pleaded my behest, I felt a strange surge of exhilaration passing through me.
If it be possible, grant me this request, that I may live forever.
Suddenly, as if in answer to my plea, the floor began to tremble, and huge billows of smoke rose from the base of the idol. And in that instant of awe, I thought I saw a host of disembodied spirits rising from the smoke.
Good heavens!
I fell to the floor, trembling with terror. But an instant later, the reverberations had ceased, and I felt a reassuring hand upon my shoulder.
All is well, my friend. This is merely Karana's way of showing you that your request has been answered. You shall live forever.
The most frightful experience of my life.
I stayed on in the old monastery several more days. Finally came the time when I met Lucian, high priestess of the temple. And from that moment, my life was changed. I fell madly in love with her. My one desire was to possess her. I know it must seem ludicrous for a man of my age to be thus so infatuated by a young woman, but she had cast a spell upon me. I could not resist her.
You must return to America with me, Lucian. You must.
The High Lama saw us together and became consumed with rage.
Jackal, Ledger, vile beast that you are, you would betray my hospitality and attempt to rob the sacred place of its holy priestess. You are banished from this temple. Go Make haste. She is coming with me.
He refused flatly to let her go, and I became so incensed with rage that I snatched the blade from the sacrificial altar and stabbed him repeatedly.
You won't stop me. No one will.
With his last ounce of strength, he staggered to the wall and proceeded to pull upon the rope that controlled a heavy drape.
You wish to live forever, and indeed you shall, but not in your present form. Behold what your future state shall be.
As the heavy drape was flung back, I stared in horror at the terrible face painted upon the wall behind it. And I knew then that I would eventually become a counterpart of that ghoulish thing. For the curse had been pronounced, and I could not escape it.
No! No, it can't be!
As Jonathan Barkley concluded his fantastic story, I turned to him and said,
What was it you saw painted upon the wall?
It was an image of me. Not as I was, but as I will be. I was so horrified that I ran from the temple and took the first means of transportation back home.
Listen to me, Jonathan. You are no doubt suffering from some kind of skin disease. Now I know a specialist in Detroit.
It's no use, Howard. Science cannot help me. Perhaps this is the retribution for my crime. But in any event, I'm sure now what my ultimate destiny will be.
A week went by, and I continued to visit the emaciated creature that had once been Jonathan Barkley. Day by day, I observed his condition growing increasingly worse. Finally, I received an urgent telephone call from him.
It's happened, Howard. The thing I have feared the most has happened. Total breakthrough.
Listen, Jonathan, I'm coming over. Stay right where you are.
No, you must not. If you value your sanity, don't come over here.
You're my friend, Jonathan, and you need help. I'll not desert you at this crucial moment. I'm coming now.
Here is where Dr. Cheney's strange account ends. For when he left his office that day, he was never seen again. However, for the benefit of our readers, we must carry the story through to its conclusion. Much of what we say from here on is purely conjecturable, for we do not have the facts to support this hypothesis. But of one thing we are certain. Dr. Cheney did hasten to Barkley's home.
Great Scott! I hope it isn't what I think.
He threw open the front door and ended. The house appeared to be deserted.
Jonathan! Where are you? It's me, Howard!
I'm here in the library, but I beg you not to come in. You won't be able to bear the sight.
I am coming in, Jonathan. I'm coming now.
Several of Jonathan Barkley's neighbors claimed that at exactly 7:15 p.m. they heard a terrible scream emanating from Barkley's library. But of course they had no way of knowing who had screamed or what had caused the frightful outcry.
Hello, Howard.
Jonathan, no, no!